Have you ever looked at a mugshot and felt your stomach drop? Not because of blood, not because of violence, but because behind those eyes you saw something off, something chilling. This is one of those stories. Daytona Beach, Florida, summer of 2023. A small fire, a strange call, and a woman running barefoot with a knife in her bra. She was 35 years old. She claimed she had nothing to do with the crime. And yet what police discovered would leave even seasoned detectives stunned. Stay with us as we unravel every disturbing layer of the Nichole Max murder case, what she said, what she did, and what was hiding in plain sight. You think you know crazy until you meet Nichole Max. It was just after 10:40 p.m. on the night of July 1st, 2023, when emergency services received a call that would spark one of the most disturbing murder cases in recent Florida history.
911? What's your emergency? There's a fire. Someone's apartment is burning. There's a body inside.
The caller was a neighbor. He'd seen smoke rising from a duplex at 600 Clark Street, near Daytona's downtown district. The flames weren't towering, but something didn't feel right. By 10:55 p.m., firefighters extinguished a small blaze centered in the living room. But as they moved deeper inside the house, through the haze, they stumbled upon a sight that silenced the room. In the bedroom was the body of a man. He lay on the floor, unmoving. Blood pooled beneath his torso. A pillow covered his face. Victim identified: Michael Sarah, age 79. A retired educator, known in the neighborhood for being quiet, kind, and generous. But on this night, Michael had been beaten, stabbed, and left to die in his own home. According to autopsy summary, cause of death: multiple stab wounds to the chest. Blunt force trauma to the left side of the head. Suffocation suspected due to a pillow placed over his face. Time of death: estimated between 8 o'clock to 9:30 p.m., according to detective interview. It looked personal. The pillow over the face, that's not random. That's someone trying to hide what they've done, or erase it. Michael wasn't just a statistic. He had lived in that duplex for over a decade. A retired substitute teacher, he spent his time volunteering at the library and reading at local schools. He had no known enemies. He lived modestly and alone. Neighbor told police officer that Michael was one of those gentle souls, a kind that wouldn't even kill a fly. They're still in shock. How could anyone do that to him? The fire itself was confined to a single room. It didn't appear accidental. In fact, arson investigators quickly ruled it a cover-up attempt. Traces of a flammable liquid were found near the living room rug, likely gasoline. But the burn pattern revealed a strange detail. It had been poured in a hurry, unevenly distributed. Almost like the perpetrator panicked, according to fire investigator recorded interview. Fire wasn't meant to burn the whole place down. It was meant to destroy evidence fast. And yet one key detail survived. A note half-burned containing what appeared to be Michael's handwriting. It said, "Nichole asked for money again?" I said no. Things got tense. Michael Sarah wasn't living completely alone. He had taken in a roommate in early 2023. A woman named Nichole Max, 35 years old. A Daytona local with a troubled past. Court records would later reveal a history of theft, instability, and what some called emotional volatility. According neighbors' statement about Nichole, she always seemed off, sometimes talking to herself. Other times she'd knock on your door asking for odd favors. The two had been housemates for about 6 months. According to friends, their arrangement was based more on compassion than practicality. Michael Ever, the teacher, wanted to help someone get back on their feet, but that kindness would ultimately cost him his life. Investigators began piecing together a story that was both heartbreaking and terrifying. June 29th, Michael tells friend Nichole is getting unpredictable. June 30th, Nichole is seen at a gas station buying lighter fluid. July 1st, 6:30 p.m. Loud arguing heard from Michael's duplex. July 1st, 10:45 p.m. Fire reported. Michael is dead. We were looking at something deeply personal, not a random robbery, not a break-in. This was rage. Emotional rage from someone he trusted. Nichole had reportedly asked Michael for money that day. He refused. Was that the final straw? Was this about desperation or something far darker? As first responders left the scene that night, they knew this wasn't just arson. This wasn't just murder. This was the beginning of a psychological puzzle. And Nichole Max was at the center. It's now 3:45 a.m., July 2nd, 2023. Roughly 5 hours after the fire at 600 Clark Street, police receive another call, this time about a woman. Running barefoot through the alleyways behind North Wild Olive Avenue, not far from the crime scene. Officers approach cautiously. The woman is frantic, disoriented, and dirty. She appears to be talking to herself. As they draw closer, something glints beneath her bra strap. She's identified as Nichole Max. She's clutching a knife, stuffed in her bra, and holding a hammer in her right hand. Covered with dew all over her clothes as she wants to erase something, this isn't just a trespasser. This is the former roommate of the man murdered hours earlier. Nichole is detained and questioned. Her behavior is erratic. She alternates between calm denial and nonsensical rambling. Detective,
Do you know a man named Michael Sarah?
Nichole.
Michael? I haven't seen him. He was asleep when I left.
But the story doesn't add up. Police start comparing statements to the evidence already gathered at the crime scene. Red flag number 1. Nichole claims she didn't know about the fire, but she was running away from the scene, holding weapons. Red flag number 2. She claims she hadn't touched Michael. Yet her DNA was found on his blood-soaked shirt. Red flag number 3. She tells officers she doesn't want to talk about the knife. The same knife with Michael's blood on it, found wedged inside her bra. When someone doesn't want to talk about the murder weapon, that's not innocence. That's fear of being caught. Nichole's mental state becomes the next focal point. Is this the behavior of a traumatized witness? Or a guilty suspect trying to feign confusion? According to criminal psychologists, there was a pattern of deflection. She tried to give just enough information to seem helpful but left gaping holes. This is classic deceptive behavior. Investigators ask her directly, did she kill Michael Sarah, Nichole?
I wouldn't hurt him. He was like a friend, but he was acting strange.
But when pressed on how her DNA ended up on his clothes and why she had a weapon in her bronchial clammed up, Detective,
We need answers, Nichole, and this doesn't look good.
The evidence, however, spoke volumes. The knife, covered in blood, DNA matched both Nichole and Michael. The hammer, wiped down, but traced bloodstains found in crevices. The red hoodie, previously seen on Nichole in neighborhood surveillance, burned, but partially recovered in her trash can. She'd tried to burn the hoodie, tried to flee, tried to act confused. But the timeline was clear. She was at the duplex during the murder. In just 12 hours, police had gone from a suspicious house fire to a full-blown homicide investigation, with a primary suspect caught red-handed. Key facts. Arrested within 6 hours of murder. Possessed murder weapon. Matched DNA at scene. Lied during police questioning. Attempted to destroy evidence. Nichole Max claims she didn't want to talk about the knife. But the evidence was already speaking louder than she ever could. What started as a strange barefoot woman in the shadows became a chilling portrait of rage, panic, and cold calculation. And yet the most disturbing part was still to come. When stories fall apart, science takes over. It speaks with facts, unbiased, unflinching, unafraid. In the case of Michael Sarah, science wasn't just part of the investigation. It was the prosecution's voice. At the scene, detectives were struck by how eerily quiet it all was. No signs of a struggle, no overturned furniture, just a man, Michael Sarah, dead, with his face covered by a pillow, his chest punctured with stab wounds, and his head bruised by blunt force trauma. When Nichole Max ran that night, she left a trail, not just in her footprints, but in blood, in fabric, in flame, in fiber, in code. And in that trail, truth waited patiently. She said she didn't know. She said she wasn't there. But the science. The science said everything. By the time the trial began, one thing was already certain. Nichole Max killed Michael Sarah. The physical evidence was overwhelming. Nichole Max's defense team knew they couldn't disprove the DNA, the knife, or the fire. So they turned to the only lifeline they had left, the human mind. In the courtroom of Judge Carla Maddox, 36-year-old Nichole Max was finally going to stand trial for the brutal murder of Michael Sarah, her roommate, and once her only lifeline. What unfolded inside that courtroom over the next several days would disturb, divide, and devastate the public. Not because of the violence they'd already heard about, but because of what Nichole Max did, said, and didn't say in her own defense. The courtroom was tightly controlled. No cameras allowed inside during testimony. Only sketches and audio. But what we do know comes from the dozens of journalists, court transcribers, and members of the public who sat through every moment. In opening statements, the prosecution wasted no time. Prosecutor's opening statement: the facts in this case are simple and devastating. Nichole Max took a hammer. She took a knife. She attacked an elderly man in cold blood and then set fire to the evidence. This was not panic. This was premeditated murder. Defense opening statement: what happened to Michael Cera was tragic. But our client, Ms. Max, was not of sound mind. She was unraveling. She wasn't thinking rationally. She didn't plan this. She was mentally unwell. Two narratives. One centered on cold calculation, the other on chaos and delusion. Throughout the trial, Nichole Max remained eerily composed, according to reporters and sketch artists. She showed little emotion, even while listening to graphic testimony about Michael's injuries. But was this the behavior of a woman lost in madness? Or a woman who thought she could outsmart the system? The prosecution's case was built on a fortress of forensic evidence. Expert leading crime scene investigation told court that they believe he was ambushed, possibly asleep or relaxed. The blood patterns suggest the attack came swiftly, from above. The pillow placed over his face after death, a disturbing psychological clue. Often it signals remorse or a desire to hide what was done, was hidden in the least likely place. The knife concealed in Nichole Max's bra was a treasure trove of forensic evidence. Lab analysis. Summary. Michael's blood found on the blade, spine, and handle. Partial fingerprint confirmed to be Nichole's. Epithelial DNA from Nichole on handle. Blood spatter patterns consistent with multiple stab thrusts, as forensic analyst told court. Nichole tried to erase herself from the crime. She burned the very hoodie she was seen wearing earlier that day, captured on gas station CCTV just 3 hours before the murder. Key detail. Fire started after death, designed to destroy the scene, not the body. Traces of Nichole's DNA on matches found in trash. Fire investigator. It wasn't arson out of rage. It was strategic. Light it, close the door, walk away, and hope it spreads. Technology doesn't forget. Nichole Max's phone held everything. Recovered digital evidence. Deleted Google search. How long before blood clots after death? GPS ping. At duplex at 10:37 p.m. Fire call came in at 10:40 p.m. Deleted note: he doesn't own me. He'll never own me again. Cyber forensics expert told court. This wasn't spur of the moment. She searched, typed, deleted. That's premeditation, clear and simple. Beside Michael's body on a small table of glass, unassuming until tested. 2 full prints, 1 partial, all from Nichole Max. Latent print report. Deposited within a few hours of death. Sweat pattern matched Nichole's arrest temperature. Saliva lipids detected on rim suggests calm water, drinking after murder. The fire was deliberate, started from Michael's bedroom curtain, accelerant poured across the floor. It never spread. Lack of oxygen, window shut. Key exhibits presented in court. The knife recovered from Nichole's bra. Michael Cera's blood was on it. Nichole's DNA was on the handle. The hammer, found in her possession. Hair samples matching Michael were embedded in the steelhead. Her burned hoodie, found 3 blocks away, soaked in lighter fluid, stashed in a public trash bin. Surveillance footage. Nichole running barefoot, sweaty, looking over her shoulder. GPS pings. Her phone at Michael's apartment at the exact time of the fire. Deleted Google searches. Recovered from her phone. How long before a body stops bleeding? What does fire do to DNA? 911 call plays for the jury. Even seasoned court reporters said they had to hold back tears. Nichole's defense team attempted to argue she suffered from delusional thoughts, paranoia, and possibly schizophrenia. Nichole believed Michael was controlling her through energy waves. She hadn't slept for days before the murder. But prosecutors struck back with hard facts. State rebuttal evidence. No documented history of mental illness. Jail records showed she was calm, coherent, and aware during intake. She declined mental health assistance after arrest. No medication history, no therapy history. The jury deliberated for less than 6 hours. When they returned, their eyes were solemn, their faces tense. According to juror interview, the moment they saw the knife in her face, we knew. That wasn't insanity, it was evil. No tears, no remorse, nothing. On March 18, 2024, verdict: guilty of first-degree murder, guilty of arson, guilty of tampering with evidence, guilty of lying to law enforcement. Sentence: life without the possibility of parole. Judge's final words: Ms. Max, you showed no remorse for your actions. You killed an innocent man in a violent, calculated manner. The court sees no justification for leniency. Michael Serra, Navy veteran, a neighbor, a man in the twilight of his life, was remembered as patient, kind, and humble. The community he served grieved deeply, but they also stood relieved. The killer was off the streets. Time passes. Seasons change. But some stories don't let go. The murder of Michael Serra wasn't just another crime in a long list of tragedies. It was personal to a city that knew him, to a community that trusted her, and to all of us who still can't make sense of it. Michael Serra was not rich, not powerful, not well known, but he mattered. He was a retired schoolteacher, a Navy veteran, a man of routine books, gardening, soft jazz on Sunday mornings. He moved slowly because of a bad hip, spoke gently because of years in the classroom, and he trusted people because he believed most people were good. Nichole Max moved into Michael's life during one of her lowest points. She had nowhere to go. I offered her a room and more than that, a chance to get back on her feet, to work again, to rebuild. That was the kind of man Michael was. But that kindness would cost him everything. When the court documents were released, describing how Nichole had attacked Michael, covered his face with a pillow, and set fire to his room, and then the confusion set in. Was it mental illness? Was she hearing voices? A week after her sentencing, Daytona Beach came together. In front of Michael Serra's former home, a candlelight vigil formed quiet and peaceful. People shared stories. Some cried. Others just stood there saying nothing. But even with a conviction and a life sentence, questions remain. Some questions are still unanswered. Did Nichole plan the murder in advance? Or was it spontaneous? What snapped in her that night? Were there signs we all missed? Could Michael have been saved? A choice that ended a life. A choice that haunts a town. Experts continue to debate the psychology of Nichole Max. She didn't plead insanity, but her lawyers hinted at deep instability, undiagnosed psychosis, schizophrenia, or a full-scale mental breakdown. Yet others argue that gives her too much credit. There is something chilling about this case, and it goes beyond blood or fire. It lies in what we didn't see coming. Nichole Max lived quietly, said little, and beneath that quietness was a storm no one saw until it was too late. This isn't just a story about mental illness or about violence. It's about trust and how it can be shattered in an instant. About how a person in pain can become a person who causes it, and how silence is sometimes the biggest red flag of all. If this story shook you, share it. Let Michael Serra's life be more than a headline. Let it be a reminder. Not all monsters wear masks. No. Not all tragedies come with warning signs. Subscribe to the Crime Decoder for more true stories that challenge what we think we know and expose what's truly terrifying beneath the surface. Stay informed. Stay alert, because understanding the darkness is the first step in protecting the light.